Hey everyone, it's DeagleBeagle. So today we're going to go over Cresselia, and I'll show you probably about 5 ways to use it. So Cresselia in years past has been really good, especially in formats where restricteds are allowed. In this format where restricteds aren't allowed, it's probably less good because yes, it does get Lunar Blessing, but it got a nerf for its stats, and they're not gonna just use all the same Pokemon, the restricted Pokemon. So the game is gonna be more diverse, and there's stuff like Fluttermane and Chi-Yu now that never was used before. So Cresselia, I think in general, is slightly overrated. It has great potential, but it just doesn't have a lot of offense, and it does kind of help itself and allies, but it just kind of sits there. Yeah, it sets a trick room and stuff, but it doesn't do a whole lot with it, and it's still vulnerable to like fake out and whatnot. And Rillaboom can hit it pretty hard with Wood Hammer. It's just not nearly as good as it used to be, but that's just my opinion. But if I did use it, I'd use it probably one of these 5 ways. Not to say you can't use it any other way, but most people are going to use Trick Room, Psychic, and Lunar Blessing with it, almost no matter what, unless they have a specific set where they probably shouldn't do that, like the Calm Mindset. But Helping Hand is pretty common, and people would use that in general because it has such low offense that really you're not using Psychic a lot. You're mostly just trying to support your ally. Your ally's going to have probably way more offense than you, so you'll probably just Helping Hand instead of Psychic, unless you get like taunted or something. That's why you may want Psychic, just in case you get taunted. And then this one, I have seen Safety Goggles for Cellulot instead of Terra Grass. It's probably not worth the Terra just to be immune to Amoonguss. You probably should use Safeguard or Safety Goggles instead. So, oh, by the way, I think you could. I need to include a 6 set with Rest Talk before I forget, because I'm pretty sure. I'll even look it up on Bulbapedia. Lunar Blessing. I think you might be able to wake yourself up from sleep. If that's the case, Rest Talk would be decent. Anyways, see, there's always some new way you can use a Pokemon. But if you're not worried about Spore because you have Goggles or Safeguard or Rest Talk or whatever, Fairy is probably the best defensive type for it because it's otherwise weak to Bug, Dark, and Ghost. And Fairy resists 2 out of the 3 and is neutral to Ghost. So that is pretty good, even if you don't use a Fairy move. And Leftovers and Goggles are probably going to be the most common items with it. I wouldn't probably use almost any other item. It's going to be bulky enough where you probably get the Leftovers, unless, well, I should say it's not guaranteed that you'll survive long enough to make the Leftovers worth it, but it giving you health every turn could make you survive the whole game a lot longer. And Citrus and whatever, and Papa or whatever would be good as well. But I would probably use Leftovers or Goggles with it. And basically, Lunar Blessing is like a life dew that's better. So it's basically a life dew, and it cures both of your status conditions. That's pretty good. But still, it just seems like it doesn't quite do enough. The main thing that's good about Cresselia is it's good at stalling people and keeping your allies supported and alive. So if you're like using Hard Trick 'em or whatever, and it's like, dang, I need to take this stupid Pokemon out, then it's like, yeah, then crest can be pretty annoying, especially with an ally that's also bulky. Is probably where it would be best used with. Another set you could use with it though is like a Calm Mindset. No, I didn't mean Moon Blast. I meant Moonlight. So you could still use Lunar Blessing, but you might want Moonlight in case they're using physical attacks. So you can heal yourself a little bit more on average, unless they use like sand or rain or something. It is weather dependent, so that can be a liability or a bonus in case they use sun. And you would probably want like Psychic and Dazzling Gleam, Calm Mind, Moonlight. And if you're using Calm Mind, I would max out the defense. I meant to talk about the stats. You don't have to max defense on Cresselia in general. In fact, you might want to give it more special defense than defense because of all the Dark Pulse Chi-Yu, Shadow Ball, Fluttermane, and whatnot, but that's up to you. I would usually max HP with it, give it min speed if you have Trick Room. If you don't have Trick Room though, like on this one, I would probably not take any speed away from it, so you can outspeed stuff outside of Trick Room. And same with this one. So this one would be one I'm more likely to use than all the other ones, because having to use goggles just for a Moongus or whatever is just kind of annoying. And Safeguard would be using Cresselia to its niche, and there's not a lot of Pokemon that get Safeguard that are also decent in general, Cresselia being one of them. So Safeguard totally shutting down the Spore would be nice. And you still have access to speed control with Icy Wind and Thunder Wave. You want to do anything to really beat the Trick Room, but this is more of a Cresselia that functions outside of countering a Trick Room team or outside of using Trick Room. So an idea might be to spam Thunder Wave with it, take advantage of its bulk, get up a lot of Thunder Waves, and then even if you're taunted, you can use Icy Wind and just like really control the speed outside of Trick Room. Lunar Blessing, keep your allies healed, and just kind of keep trying to hope you get Parahacks, and even if you don't, you still slow them down. So this Cresselia actually seems pretty good, so I would look into it. This one, no, I meant to change it. So it should be Leftovers, Rest, Sleep, Talk. Maybe you don't need Lunar Blessing if it's Rest Talk, but it would still heal you and your allies, so that would be pretty good. And then maybe Psychic. Jeez. But that just seems like a weird way to use Crest. I probably wouldn't use Crest like that unless you're mostly just using it for Lunar Blessing. Let's check though if it wakes it up out of sleep. Heals the user of any status conditions. Yeah, I think it would. Even though when you wake up, you wouldn't need to use Sleep Talk anymore. But I guess that's better than using Rest 2/3 of the time, or not being able to target which opponent you're going to use or which move you're going to use. So actually, yeah, that would be pretty decent to use something like that. So you still have an attacking move. You clear any status conditions you have, even though this is a little bit counterintuitive because Lunar Blessing and Rest have some overlap where they cure status conditions, but Lunar Blessing, you can see it as mostly a life do anyways. And yeah, this set would be pretty good, I think. But I'm not a big fan of Cresselia in general because there's no Pokemon at least that I know of, because I don't think it has gravity anymore. I wouldn't probably use it. If it did have gravity, I might want to use it with Sandseer Storm. But since there's no Precipice Blades or anything like that, or Kyogre, then I would probably skip out on Cress. In fact, I don't think Cress is gonna be. It's not top. I know it's not top tier. It's probably more like high tier, barely, if that. But I mean, it's just not a great Pokemon normally, but it does have high potential. Like, it's good with Lunar Blessing to counter Glamora stuff, and it makes it so they can't just like sweep you really quickly. But overall, I don't think it's an amazing Pokemon anymore. Well, we'll have to see. Thanks for watching.